before that came about. And Robbie Reed, shout out to Robbie Reed. She's an amazing casting director. She's a timeless, historical, she worked for Spike Lee for many years. She worked with John Singleton. Robbie Reed cast me. I was 13 years old. Was I 13? Or I might have been 14. But anyways, we met John Singleton. We flew to Oakland. We filmed on the actual living space of like somebody. It wasn't a Hollywood set. We filmed on an actual block in Oakland, you know what I mean? And they had Tupac playing the lead character, of course. Was it Lucky? Did he play Lucky?
Yeah, that was his character name.
So it was just a historical film, and for 20 years it's been an icon. It's become a film. It's an iconic film because of the background of John Singleton and his work with Boys in the Hood and his work with making some banging ass soundtracks and just working with some top celebrities that could bring the feeling of love. It's just a love story to the culture. It's just a hood love story that was just iconic, and I got to be a part of it. I got my little hair done and I got my little self together. I got on the plane with my mom and we stayed in a hotel, and a matter of fact, it was so funny. Too Short, you talk about people from the West that this is he came to Atlanta. He's been one of the people that's carried on the tradition of hip hop for many years. But Too Short was given a players ball in the hotel that we were staying at, and I was just a kid. I was like 13 years old, and my mom, I think Pop wanted to invite my mom to the players ball, but he didn't have the nerve to say it. So we just stood up there looking at him like, "What's going on? You all right?" Yeah. We just made small talk, but we didn't have the security to say what we really wanted to say, like, "Come to the players ball, it's gonna be all that," when I say come to the players ball. But Too Short was having a players ball. And that's the thing, like, when these filmmakers, these black guerrilla filmmakers come into the community, please honor them and respect them, like Randy Marshall and all these people that's out here in Atlanta doing films. Show respect to somebody that's put in legitimate commerce in your neighbor's pocket, so that you don't have to, you don't have to go back to the same community. That it makes your community better. It just makes the community a little bit more flourishing and supportive, and it makes everybody happy when they come out and they play their music and you see their nice cars and you see everything like Tupac was doing, popping wheelies on his on his motorcycle, because the crowd, it wasn't a Hollywood set, it was a real live living space for people. It was a row house, and we were filming in someone's house. So they called their friends, and their neighbors called their neighbors, and everybody said, "Tupac's here," and everybody came out to the street. So every time we were finished filming a scene, which it takes courage to stand in the spotlight as it is. So it takes so much courage to stand out and be present and give your voice to the body of work that you're creating, and take direction from somebody that's just wants as much for the project as you. You have to work together. You have to learn how to work together. So he would come out and do wheelies, and he would pop wheelies, and he would show. He would do all kinds of stunts. And everybody would say, "Why are you doing that?" Nobody would stop him. Nobody would say, "Why are you acting ghetto?" He's like, "These are my people. I'm not gonna stop being me for these people. I'm not gonna stop putting on a show for these people. I don't want them to act the fool. I don't want them to shut down the production. You want to keep these people happy."
I know that had to be a sight to see. I know y'all was having fun on set. How was it like for you being on set with Janet?
I didn't get a chance to meet Janet until many years later. There was a listening party for an artist named Shanice, and she was a really pretty black girl in the 90s that was singing a song. I think she had a hit song called "I Like Your Smile." Well, she tried to come out with another album, and she had a listening party for her next album, and Janet supported her. And that just goes to show you how, you would be so surprised who will come out and support you when you're doing something that you believe in, when you're doing something from your heart that you love, and you're not concerned about what people might say. You're not concerned about the things that might stop you. You're not concerned about the things that might fall apart. You know, there's enough going on in your world as it is as an artist for you to come up with that, that grace and that compassion towards your artistry and towards your ability, and you want to share that with people. That's what music is. So Janet was there, and I met her there at the Shawnee's listening party. I think I was with Tyrese, and he was on tour or something like that, and he wanted to introduce me to Janet Jackson because he knew she was my hero. He knew how much her stardom meant to my entire... It just motivated me. It just kept me from, you know, feeling good about the skin I was in. It made me feel good about the potential that I might have, my sexuality. Oh, Janet taught everybody about their sexuality. And it was at a time when there was a time when my mother wouldn't buy me a Janet Jackson album because the title of the song was nasty. I said, I was going to a slumber party. I said, I want to bring her this album, Mommy. And I was in the 2nd grade. And she was like, let me see. Oh no, the title of the song is nasty. You can't bring this over there to her. I don't want her mother telling me. You know, so she was afraid to bring the album. He was really good in a lot of the films he did. He worked with Debbie Allen in First Day Air. So I was just ready. I was fresh out of my freshman year of college. I was ready for that kind of opportunity. I had spent a lot of time with Quincy Jones' family and people. I was ready for that kind of opportunity. I had spent a lot of time with Quincy Jones into, you know, me making the best, but I'm doing the best that I can, you know. I mean, I'm going back to school this year. Not long before he died, yeah, I was really surprised about the news, and I saw him driving around Hollywood, and he pulled over and said hi to me. He was with his girlfriend, and he screamed at me. I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and he said, you know, I guess he said my name, or he said hey or something, and, you know, he said hi or whatever, because I had worked with him on South Central. I think he got in a car accident or something like that.
Yeah, he died in a car crash. Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. You and Brandy, y'all good friends, right? Because I remember seeing like a viral video of y'all meeting up backstage at a concert, and y'all was like, you know, embracing each other.
Yeah, we met when I was 12. I played Jason Weaver's girlfriend on Thea. I played his little girlfriend. We were like 12 years old, like literally, and we went to like some it was at Universal Studios was having a Back to the Future ride. It was like a ride, like an event ride, and we got to go on there while we were working on the show. We had an amazing time on Thea. Like, we had an amazing, like, I got to meet Martin Lawrence. I was 15 years old, and I shook hands with Martin Lawrence, and we went on that ride at Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios. We did this all like at lunchtime while we were on break from, like I said, when you be on these TV sets, they give you time to really bond and really, you know, kind of like make friends with the cast and stuff like that. So you kind of, you know.
Why did that show up?
I have no idea. I was just a guest host. I didn't know a lot about that show. I was just a guest host, a guest star.
Yeah, that was a real good show. It should have lasted longer. So, you know, for it to only last one season, that's crazy. But yeah, it's crazy hearing you tell these stories about Tupac and LL Cool J. Because I know, you know, you worked with them, but I had no idea you had a relationship with them outside of work.
I knew LL Cool J more than I knew Pac. I knew like Bobby Brown and them more than I knew Pac. I didn't know Pac. Them women open doors for me. They never. Okay.
One man who refused to back down. And insulted. One man who...
Millions of Americans are afraid of being in proximity to ICE agents. Just came out of her mouth on a national news network. Tens of millions of people, which is why I put the poll up here. Because in order for tens of millions of people, the percentage would have to be quite higher. Who is afraid of seeing ICE at an airport? I went to the airport, a couple of weeks ago, whenever I flew, and there's bomb-sniffing dogs. Wasn't afraid. I go to the Miami Dolphins football game. You go in, another sniff dog is there, along with armed guys. Still with 70,000 people in the stadium, and the Dolphins suck. Who are these people? I want, that's why I put up the poll. Who are these tens of millions of people, because I'm not going to say Americans, these tens of millions of people who are afraid of being in proximity to an ICE agent? Complete, utter garbage. She's making it up. Nobody I know is afraid of any law enforcement officer. Not afraid of a fireman. Not afraid of a bomb-sniffing dog. In fact, doesn't it make you feel comfortable when you show up to a sporting event, a concert, someplace, and the dog is sniffing around people, making sure everybody coming through the turnstiles is checked? Instead of being afraid, that makes me feel actually a lot more comfortable. Because the guys doing the pat downs and, the $5 an hour guys that they got there in the orange shirts and everything else and checking through your bag, they don't even know what they're looking at. That dog is more trained than the people that you run into at the turnstile. That dog will sit there and go, hey, you need to check Barry out. He's got something. Look at him. So why would I be afraid? That tells me I'm safer. When I see cops at every gate, that makes me feel safer. Even the guys checking the pocketbooks to make sure nothing's brought in, if they do see something they don't know, they call an officer over. Hey, I don't know what this is. It makes you feel, no, I don't see anybody afraid and terrified. If you've ever if you've ever traveled internationally, I've said this before. When I went to Italy, I was shocked when you get off the plane and there's guys with semi-machine guns sitting there. Then you go into the tube or whatever it's called, the subway, and there's guys with submachine guns there. Was I afraid? Just the opposite. I was like, honey, this is nice. I know we are safe riding this thing at any hour of the night. We want to go to the Vatican. We want to go over here for dinner. We need to do whatever we need to do. We can get in here. One, it's clean. Two, it's well lit. Three, you see any bums? None. The only thing I see walking around is guys with submachine guns. Anybody ever feel terrified and afraid to be in proximity of safety? Because that's what she's saying. There's tens of millions of people who are terrified of being safe.
Take ICE agents off of immigration programs and put them into managing security lines. I think that's, again, a big, it's a big thing to ask Americans just to absorb. So I don't really know what's going to happen. It will certainly take people out of position from their traditional ICE roles and move them to a different role.
I want you to listen to the Democratic divide, because there is a Democratic divide.
So now they're worried about people moving away from neighborhood searches because they're searching at the airport. Wasn't their entire argument before is to get ICE off the street? And so now, hey, pretty much obliged, we're going to move people off of certain corners and we're going to put them in the airport. Makes you happy, doesn't it? Oh, no. That doesn't work either, huh? What do you want? Well, we don't want you checking anybody. We don't want to even look at you. We don't want to be in proximity to you. And then if something happens, then you definitely want them in proximity.
About how far to go.
Well, I agree with you that Congress is broken, but here's the fact of the matter. I have a lot of questions about what he said. Are they going to be wearing masks? What are the functions that they're going to be performing? Are they going to make it more complicated? Are people going to be more scared? Are they going to threaten people?
More scared. The fear that she says she's worried about is only happening because the Democrats are trying to tell people, you need to be afraid. Oh, people might have masks on. I'm pretty sure like a couple of years ago, we all had masks on. I wasn't afraid of people then. Now all of a sudden, because they're law enforcement with masks, we should be worried. They're grasping. I mean, literally grasping at nothing. Nothing whatsoever. It doesn't even make any sense. None.
Well, are people going to start to see people not even willing to travel because they're intimidated by them?
I think every single one of us would like, that's a good thing. That is a good thing. If people are unwilling to travel because ICE is at the airport, mission effing accomplished. You want to see the lines go down? You wait until, like I say, Tuesday or Wednesday. Jesus. if people are intimidated and afraid to travel because of ICE, those are the people who shouldn't be traveling anyway. That is a huge win. I think we all, hey, there's nobody in here. I'm good with that. I am really good with that. Then we'll see true wait times. Then we'll see truly how the airport is running. If people are going to pull out and not travel, no, nobody's going to not travel because ICE is in the airport, except the ones who might get caught by ICE.
Here's the reality. We could settle this tomorrow and fund TSA, FEMA, which, by the way, got gutted a year ago, not in this funding of Homeland Security by DOGE, and fund the Coast Guard and deal with the ICE issue, which has to be dealt with front and center.
You guys all know at this point, they've tried to pull ICE out of everything. DHS is the auspices. That is the agency that gets funded. They're saying, hey, we'll fund some of this stuff, but we're going to take ICE off the table. And at this point, ICE is already funded. And now they're going back and go, okay, let's go ahead and fund TSA. Let's defund ICE. No, that ain't happening. In other words, you have nothing to negotiate with, and President Trump has called your bluff. Now, with ICE moving into the airports, this thing may go on for quite some time. You watch what happens over the next couple days. If the wait times diminish, if you don't see lines snaking out the door, something's got to give. I think it's going to have to be the Democrats, for sure.
So let me ask you about that, because you are the whole reason, as you just laid out, that DHS is not funded right now is because you're trying to push the administration to enact some policy changes on how Border Patrol and ICE act when they're out looking for illegal immigrants. And now what you're saying is that you're okay with funding TSA, which has been, I think, the biggest point of leverage that you possibly had in order to get what you want on ICE, because ICE already has its money. So what was the point of this shutdown if you're okay with funding TSA?
So you lost the plot if CNN's like, what the hell are you people doing? What a question. If you completely lost the plot, if ICE still has their money, and this was all about TSA, and now you're going to fund TSA, what exactly is the point of what you did? And if she's putting this on CNN, because some of you guys are like, why are you showing CNN? Because at this point, CNN can't cover for them anymore. And you know, some people have, I guess, personal integrity. They're like, what the hell are you guys doing? It doesn't make any sense. You did this huge uproar for 40 days, and now you're just about to be capitulate to where it was before you started this mess.
Well, we never approach these things that are in front of us with respect to government funding in the context of leverage. Our approach is, what is the appropriate use of taxpayer dollars? And we believe that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize.
You're kidding, right? If I don't know if Dana Bash was in the same studio with him, but I would have moved over before the lightning came. You guys are worried about taxpayer dollars. You actually just said that. Oh, it's not about that. It's about taxpayer. I'm like, oh my gosh. No wonder you guys are losing so badly. It's incredible. They got nothing.
Kill them or violently target law-abiding immigrant families, which is what we know ICE agents have been doing. And so at this point in time, more than 30 days in to the Trump Republican Department of Homeland Security shutdown, I think the most appropriate course of action is to fund TSA, fund FEMA, fund the Coast Guard, fund our cybersecurity professionals so that, Republicans stop holding the American people hostage and these hardworking civil servants because of the Republican unwillingness, at least to date, to get ICE under control.
Who thinks ICE is not under control? What exactly does get ICE under control mean? They're not dogs. What exactly is it when you say get ICE under control? What you actually mean is you want ICE not to be checking anybody. We already saw their demands. Their demands are almost as ludicrous as Iran's demands. They're non-starters. They're not going anywhere. Do you know what the job of an ICE agent is? Immigration, customs enforcement. Then what is it you want to do to, quote, rein them in, control them? You want to make sure that these people don't take away your voters. Be honest.
Listen, we believe that immigration enforcement in this country should be fair, just, and humane. And Donald Trump promised that he was going to go after the worst of the worst, violent felons who are here illegally. That's not what has been happening.
Yeah, that has been happening, but there's a little word called expansion. You see, if I go after Pedro, and Pedro is a mother groper, and I also, when I go to look at Pedro, and I say, knock on the door and say, where's the mother groper? And I see a whole bunch of other people there. Well, I'm here. You got ID? Round them all up. Let's go, boys. So that's called a predicate. The word he just did, or the term that he didn't use, but what he's explaining is he's not understanding the predicate. If I pull somebody over who's speeding, and I happen to find out that, you're also not supposed to be here. Am I supposed to let you go? But hey, listen, I'm sorry, you haven't groped any women. You can go on your way. It's not how it works. It doesn't work like that for you. It doesn't work like that for me. If any of us robbed a bank and our tail light was out, and they're like, hey, listen, I got an APB on your big butt. Get out. That's how it works. Everybody across the country understands whether you get pulled over or anything else, it can sometimes be because of a very minor infraction. I wasn't out there looking for Barry the bank robbery, but Barry the bank robber was driving a car that had a expired tag. Hey, got to pull over. You're that dude I got the APB on. You got to get out. Very simple. We've all watched television. We all watch cops. And they're trying to make sure you don't use your memory. Well, they're not looking for the worst of the worst. Law enforcement. You want them to look the other way. Well, even that's a crime. But it's not one of the worst of the worst. If they jump the bridge, that's okay because they're not one of the worst of the worst. Well, what do you do, Hakeem? And this is what Dana should have asked him. Hakeem, if the person isn't a mother groper, hasn't done anything like that, but gets pulled over for speeding and happens to be not from here, what exactly do you want to see happen at that moment? We need to get them to start saying that. When they start leaning on this whole crutch of not the worst of the worst, what do you do when you find one of these 10 million people and they're, beating up their wife or something? Just didn't pay for their grocery. What do you do when they're not the worst of the worst? They want you to look the other way.
Targeting American citizens and law-abiding immigrant families, and of course that needs to end. That is not enough.
Law-abiding immigrant families. Wait. You understand the original sin, right? The original sin that they committed is a crime. Democrats don't want to recognize that as being a crime. Dana Bash, even she knows it. Look at her face. At this point, the media realizes they're spitting into the wind and they've got nothing. And these people that they bring on their shows, it's even worse. And now CNN knows that they've been sold and somebody else is about to control them. And you got to look, that's the face you got to look at when the Democrats come on your show and vomit. Because they're not even prepared to ask the right questions. If I was sitting where she was, and I would have said, okay, and I would have just asked him that question. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Jeffries. Mr. Jeffries, what do you do when you find somebody who's done this, but they're not a mother groper? Very simple question. These people on television, unless it's written on a teleprompter, they don't even know what to ask. They just need to get through the interview. I think I've got 12 minutes with Hakeem. I've got the questions in front of me that you want me to ask. Don't deviate. Just let him talk. Thank you for showing up today. And they wonder why their ratings are in the toilet.
Weird use of taxpayer dollars.
Taxpayer dollars. That's all they got. And they're going to keep doing it, but it's not working anymore. And all these polls are starting to come out now and show them that this stuff just isn't working anymore. Real quick, let me tell you, do I have it here? Yes, I do have it in front of me. I want to show you guys. Hold on, I got to click the button here. And there it is. It pops up on the screen. And then when it pops up on the screen, it's like it puts it in the basket. Yeah, I have to do that. All right, so want to tell you about the Trump red knife. President Trump, as you know, don't let anybody walk onto the runway. Gotcha. Make sure nobody brings a gun on the airplane. Gotcha. Make sure there's less than 1 ounce of liquid in their bags. I could be a TSA agent. I'm pretty sure many of you could be TSA. He laughed at her.
People don't go through those exits, enter the airport through the exits, and that would stuff like that relieves that TSA officer to go to screening and to reduce those lines. So wherever we can provide extra security, I don't see an ICE agent looking at an X-ray machine because you're not trained in that. There are certain parts of security that TSA is doing that we can move them off those jobs and put them in the specialized jobs, help move those lines.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So what you're saying is when you move ICE into airports, they are going to be just around the exits and the exteriors. They're not going to be helping people get through the line.
That's not what he said at all. I just listened to the same thing you said, and then she tried to reduce it. So all they're going to be doing is standing at exit signs, right? No, that's not what he said.
We'll see where it goes. We're having this conversation. I'm explaining how we do things, and we'll see where it lands.
President Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "If the radical left Democrats don't immediately sign an agreement to let our country, in particular our airports, be free and safe again, I will move our brilliant and patriotic ICE agents to the airports where they will do security like no one has ever seen before." Now, in a subsequent post, he said that he instructed ICE agents to be ready by Monday. And now the president is saying that you, sir, are going to be in charge. How is that going to work? Are ICE agents going to move into American airports starting tomorrow, Monday?
Yes.
Okay, you gotta let this one simmer. The President of the United States posts something on True Social and says, I'm not gonna let this happen, and then he follows it up with, we're gonna do this on Monday. And she asked, and Annie says, and this dude's gonna be in charge. Is it really happening? No, he lied. He was having fun with the media down in Mar-a-Lago. He said to everybody, watch this. I'm going to make these people jump through hoops here. Are you serious? You thought the guy was bluffing? Is that really going to happen? Yes. Love it.
And I'm currently working on the plan now, execution, working with the director of ICE and administrator of TSA, the acting administrator. So we'll put together a plan today and we'll execute it tomorrow.
Anybody believe that? Anybody believe that just putting together a plan today? Anybody think that Tom Homan, who he is, who he works for, just all of a sudden is going to put together a plan today and execute it tomorrow? No, there's been a plan put in place.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. First of all, are ICE agents even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
Have you flown lately? Have you gone through an airport anytime in the last year? When you see Sharon and Stefan sitting there going through your bags, what kind of training do they have? I mean, look at the people who work for TSA. When they're picking up like napkins and stuff and looking at stuff, what training do you think that they have that it's so exhaustive that an ICE law enforcement agent doesn't have the capability to do? Hey, let me look in your bags. Oh yeah, here. Let me pat down. Let me just grab something here. And pat. Yeah, go through the machine. Wave. What are the special skills that these geniuses must have that the ICE agents don't have? You know, the ICE agents who deal with criminals all the time. I feel like I'm watching a movie. You all been through the airport. You sat there and go, oh gosh. Supervisor, line 2 here. Come on, supervisor. The machine ain't working. I'm making a joke, but tell me how far off that joke is. Hold on. Let me look. Don't be going over there. Put your shoes back on. Take your shoes off. Turn around. Jump upside down. The immense training of our TSA people, huh?
Agents have received a high level of training. And, you know, the ICE agents are assigned at many airports across the country already. They do a lot of criminal investigation on smuggling at airports. But, you know, there's got TSA agents covering exits, people that enter through the exits. Certainly a highly trained ICE law enforcement officer covering exit makes people...
Oh, it had to be embarrassing. He's laughing at you. I'm pretty sure an ICE agent can watch an exit. I don't think you need some highly... Hey, listen, don't let anybody come out this door. Gotcha, boss. Don't let anybody walk onto the runway. Gotcha. Make sure nobody brings a gun on the airplane. Gotcha. Make sure there's less than 1 ounce of liquid in their bags. I could be an ICE agent. I'm not ICE agent, a TSA agent. I'm pretty sure many of you could be TSA. He laughed at her.
People don't go through those exits, entering the airport through the exits, and stuff like that relieves that TSA officer to go to screening and to reduce those lines. So wherever we can provide extra security, I don't see an ICE agent looking at an X-ray machine because you're not trained in that. There are certain parts of security that TSA is doing that we can move them off those jobs and put them in the specialized jobs, help move those lines.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So what you're saying is when you move ICE into airports, they're going to be just around the exits and the exteriors. They're not going to be helping people get through the line.
That's not what he said at all. I just listened to the same thing you said, and then she tried to reduce it. So all they're going to be doing is standing at exit signs, right? No, that's not what he said. In fact, just like President Trump, he's probably not going to tell you everything they're going to be doing. Wait until they run someone's driver's license and find out, hey, and why are you so worried about it?
And screening people's bags.
Those discussions are going on now. I'm not expert at TSA, so that's why I'm talking to the TSA administrator and the ICE director, find out where we can fit in. We'll have a plan by the end of today where we're sending, what airports we're starting with and where we're sending them. But that's the discussion we're having right now. I ended the discussion to do the show, and I'll be back having those discussions when I finish. So it's a work in progress, but we will be at the airports tomorrow helping TSA move those lines along.
And I know you said it's a work in progress, but at least at the beginning, are there specific airports that you're thinking about starting with? And
good question. This is a question Americans would like to know. Thank you, Dana. You're on point here. What airports?
How many ICE agents are you considering deploying to do this?
Again, that's going based on the discussions we're having today. I think we need to keep, my opinion is that we concentrate on the airports where the longest waits are. We prioritize those. The large airports with a long wait, like 3 hours. I think we got to prioritize what we do like we do everything else. So again, having those discussions, continued discussions after the show with the leadership of those agencies will lead us to some decisions based on prioritization, where we deploy, how quick we deploy, how many agents we deploy. So. Right. Hopefully we'll have all those answers here by this afternoon, but we're working on it. When we deploy tomorrow, we'll have a well thought out plan to execute.
With respect,
oh, she's choking on it. Oh my gosh.
Doing this in 24 hours, how well thought out could it possibly be?
Again, ICE has been at airports across the country for a long time. It's just expanded those things. Look, how much of a plan does it mean to guard an exit to make sure no one comes through that exit? We're talking about security options, and these officers are well trained in security.
You know, one of the things that's kind of concerned me as I heard him talking when I clipped this was, are you telling me that there are doors that lead to sensitive areas that are currently unguarded? Or had to take people away from screening positions to put them to stand in front of doors that people aren't supposed to go through? See, I'm wondering at this point how bad the lapse of security has been. I mean, we've seen the lines. I ain't going there. We don't have them down here, by the way. I don't understand how certain cities are so bad. It's not affecting Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Definitely not affecting West Palm Beach. So I don't understand why we're seeing things in, Boston, New York. Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe it's been on purpose.
And they're well trained in identification. And we're going to do what we can to help TSA move those people to the line.
And last question on this, because this is important, and I realize that this is clearly a plane that you're creating while it's in the air here, but this is a question that a lot of people are asking. Is it just going to be crowd control, or will ICE officers also be doing immigration enforcement while they're...
All right, like I told you, if I went down to a Dolphins game, the guys standing there, they may be doing parking. Hey, come over here, go over here. Okay. They may be checking the front gate with the dogs. They may be watching cash handling to make sure nobody jumps over the concession stand. They may be in a myriad of different positions, making sure people don't go onto the F1 track. But every single one of them is a sworn law enforcement officer. And so the stupidity of her question is, I guess the answer to that stupid question is anything and everything. You're not going to have any law enforcement officers that, somebody just ran into the runway. Somebody better go get them. I don't know nothing about that. That's not my job. Said no law enforcement ever, including ICE. If there's a crime, okay, you're sitting there, something comes over the radio. Yeah, well, some guy just jumped the turnstile at gate 5, and it looks like he had a suspicious package. Sucks for you guys, got to run all over there. No, they're going to go where the thing is. It's like she's never talked to any law enforcement ever. Anybody here in law enforcement knows the call comes over the radio, and you're going to, unless you're at a secure position where you can't leave, you're going to help. And so it doesn't make any sense what they're worried about.
At the airports.
We do immigration enforcement at airports all the time. So is that going to change? It's not going to change. This is about helping the men and women of TSA. They've lost several hundred employees. The lines are really slow because of the shutdown. This is about going to helping TSA do their mission and get the American public through that airport as quick as they can. While adhering to all the security guidelines and the protocols, we're simply there to help TSA do their job in areas that don't need their specialized expertise, such as, screening through the X-ray machine. Not training that, we won't do that. But there are roles we can play to release TSA officers from the non-significant roles, such as guarding an exit, so they can get back to the scanning machines and move people quicker. And we're just simply helping our fellow officers at TSA.
So what I think they're afraid of, and probably they should be, is it sounds to me what Tom Homan is saying is that they're going to make a massive presence. Just being there, again, I'll use my Miami Dolphins analogy. If I was a bad guy and I was walking into the venue and I saw the bomb-sniffing dog, I'm probably thinking, it's not going to work today. Let me turn around. Nah, get back out of here. Just being there. I'm telling you, watch Tuesday or Wednesday and see how the airport flows. Just their presence there. They don't really even have to do much. And I bet you we'll see a 10 to 20% drop. Because I also think that they know how many people are traveling who aren't supposed to be traveling. How many times somebody comes up and puts an ID that doesn't get flagged the right way? Who knows? Maybe their big issue is they're going to go in and begin tweaking the software so that if Pedro puts his ID in, a flag comes up, and then she can wave somebody over. Step aside, sir. Tom's coming to see you. We don't know what they're going to do. She doesn't know what they're going to do. And they're wigging out because they're not being told. Where the presence alone could deter so much of this crap. All right, let's move on.
Mr. President, are you deploying the additional troops to the region for deterrence or to optimize your operational capabilities?
Well, I would say this, that if I told you the answer to that question, my military people would be very happy. But we have a lot of troops. We have unlimited ammunition. We have the greatest equipment in the world. And we are decimating Iran.
Back here at home, the economic fallout is intensifying. The stock market down 4 straight weeks, and gas prices up nearly $1 a gallon since the war began. The administration now moving to ease some oil sanctions on Iran and earlier on Russia in an effort to bring prices down. All of this as the Pentagon prepares to ask Congress for an additional $200 billion to fund the war.
As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys.
It's our responsibility right now to end this reckless war of choice, to end the fact that billions of dollars have already been spent, perhaps up to $2 billion a day to drop bombs in the Middle East.
We want to be sure, and it's a small price to pay to make sure that we stay tippy-top.
Tippy top. I love when he says tippy top. Hey, Hakeem, did it bother you when you were sending all this money to Ukraine? Nobody asked him the question. You were sending billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. How about the $40 million or so you still keep sending to the, Taliban. How about that? How about the fact that so much fraud has happened in some of these blue cities and is still happening? Nope. We just got to stop them from doing anything to these people over here. Why? Because we don't want Trump to succeed. We don't want the Don Roe doctrine to be put into effect. Scott Bessent, who is becoming one of my favorites along with Howard Lutnick, sat down with Christian Welker, and she thought, I don't know why these people think they're going to catch these guys. He's way too good for her.
And joining me now is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Secretary Bessent, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Kristen, good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you back. I want to start with the latest of what we're hearing from President Trump. Let me read you what he posted overnight. He says, if Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours, from this exact point in time, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Has the president changed his mind about winding down the war, as he said a day earlier, and instead plans to escalate?
You just read what he said.
And you're going to ask him.
You literally read the words that the president of the United States put out, and you act like you don't get it. I'm going to obliterate Iran. I'm going to destroy them in about 48 hours. Is he escalating? Well, what the hell would you call it?
I think he said he could wind the war down anytime he wants. And, Kristen, this is the only language the Iranians understand.
But this seems to be an escalation, a threat of escalation, and it seems to run counter to his statement that he, in fact, wants to wind down the war.
I do want to wind down the war. I want to obliterate my opponent. If I can punch my opponent crazy, punch them stupid, if I can blow up all their stuff, that's winding down. It's over. But if I let them recover and get back on their feet, then I haven't completed the job. I sometimes just wonder, do these libtard people not understand the rules of engagement? It's not to just stop you, it's to take you out.
Kristen, the president's been very clear from the beginning that the goals are destroy the Iranian Air Force and the Navy, to completely demolish their missile capabilities, demolish their ability to replenish those capabilities, make sure the Iranians cannot have a nuclear weapon, and stop their ability to project power internationally, and the president will take whatever steps it takes to achieve those goals.
Well, I was on the phone with President Trump a week ago. He told me allies were on the way to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Has the Trump administration abandoned that strategy and now chosen to go it alone?
Earlier, I showed you Mark Rutte from NATO. Yesterday, I showed you that Saudi Arabia and 22 other countries have signed on. This was broadcast this morning. She didn't even do the homework from last night before she asked us questions. You're just going to do it alone? Like, lady, didn't you just see what the other countries said? Did you see what Japan and Saudi Arabia and all these other... Did you not know this before you asked the Treasury Secretary this?
Again, what we have done, there has been a campaign to using military assets to soften up the Iranian fortifications along the strait. That's going to continue until they are completely demolished. And Kristen, let me tell you, whether it's this network or the mainstream press, the American people do not have good framing what is going on here. If you were to read what is happening, and I'm sure when Senator Murphy is on, he has come out and said, we are losing the war. That is wrong. We have demolished the Iranian capabilities. Their Air Force is completely destroyed, Navy destroyed, and every day we are taking out their missiles, their missile systems, and the factories that build those missiles. And now the General Kane, Secretary Hegseth are leading a campaign to destroy all the fortifications along the Straits of Hormuz.
Just to put a fine point on this, though, is the president in the process of winding down this war or escalating the conflict?
Again, they're not mutually exclusive.
You know, this guy talks very definitively. I loved his slogan that he said yesterday during the Maria Bartiromo interview, where he said, you know, economic security is national security. And Christian, again, with the gotcha questions, well, is it going to wind it down or not? It's over when it's over. That's the answer to the question. It's over when it's over. It's not going to be forever. It's not going to be months and months and months, but it's over when it's over. When the bad guys are done fighting, when the bad guys wave the white flag, or if there's no bad guys to wave the white flag, then it's over. They're trying to trap these people. Give me a date so we can call you a liar.
Sometimes you have to escalate to de-escalate, Kristen.
Okay. NBC News is reporting that President Trump is considering sending troops into Iran. Will the administration use troops to secure the Strait of Hormuz or for any other reason, Mr. Secretary?
Again, as President Trump said during the press break yesterday when he was going out to Marine One, he's not going to give away what we're going to do. As President Trump always does, he's leaving all options on the table. We had a very successful bombing campaign against the military installations at Kharg Island, the nexus for all the Iranian oil supply. You know, what could happen with Kharg Island, we'll see. And again, just to be clear, the command and control system of the Iranian regime is in chaos. This is Hitler's bunker. Hitler's dead. Himmler is dead. Goring is dead. Most of what you're seeing are lone wolf activities. The mid-range ICBM that was shot off, these 2 missiles yesterday, that's out of desperation, Kristen.
See, he gave a little news there this morning. Something that many of us had thought. I don't know what that was. He basically just confirmed that ICBM, the missile that they sent to Diego Garcia, was a lone wolf. How would they know that? See, none of the leaders have dared put their face on camera, which is why you see Trump on camera, is why you see Netanyahu on camera. They're all out there. They're saying, here we are. We're live. Who are we even talking to? Who is it that you think is running that country right now? Not a question that Christian Welker's asking. I want to know who the leader is. Show me your leader. Because now he just said, which means they probably have good reason to say it, is it was just somebody thinking it's time to fire this. Nobody's telling me. I just think I should hit the button. And so there's going to be a lot more of those because these people were probably stationed someplace and they can't get a hold of anybody.
You bring up Kharg Island. I want to ask you about your statement. You said it could become a U.S. asset. What exactly does that mean? Could U.S. troops go into Kharg Island to secure it?
Again, as I said, all options are on the table.
And that's all you need to know. You don't have the security clearance. I am not going to tell you, or the enemy, what we are going to do. And in fact, I would have a completely different question once again if I were her. My question would be, when are you taking it? That's the question we all want to know. It's probably a foregone conclusion. When are you taking control of Cargo Island, whatever it's called? When are you doing it, Kharg Island? That's the question. It's not, are you going to put boots on the ground? I understand the boots are already there. When you see the Warthog roll out, you know stuff's about to get serious. But they don't even want to talk about the real question. Hey, when are you going to do it? Nobody's stopping us. It's just a matter of time. But I love how he said it. All options are still on the table. Love it.
Okay, so that's a possibility.
All options are on the table.
All right.
And he said it twice. So let's go back to last night. President Trump issues the ultimatum. You got 48 hours. Scott Bessent comes on television. Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Can't tell you. All options are on the table. So what does that tell you? As you're sitting in your home right now watching me, thank you, and you hear him, which is really weird, is because this guy is the Secretary of the Treasury. He's not Pete Hegseth. And he's answering wartime questions, which is crazy. You didn't hear Janet Yellen saying this stuff because she didn't know it had from hole in the ground. And he's like, hey, all options are on the table. So they know the clock is running. They understand we are in final countdown stage for whatever's going to happen over the next day or two. And he ain't. See, that would scare me more than if he had answered. That scares me more than if he had said, oh, we're negotiating. Everything and anything might be coming. And so if I was sitting in a hole someplace in Iran and somehow I had to, was able to dial in this interview and I heard him just say that, I'd be like, oh, man, they're coming, aren't they? Oh, yeah, they're coming hard.
We talk about your announcement this past week. On Friday, the Treasury Department lifted sanctions on Iranian oil stored on tankers, a move that would effectively allow Iran to get more than $14 billion of oil revenue.
All right, so now I'm convinced. Hey, go in, get your hair done, go to makeup, go to wardrobe, and we'll have these documents in front of you because just read the questions we're asking, even though you look stupid. He's about to score. It looks like Iran's going to get like $1 gazillion. We covered this yesterday. We talked about this yesterday, and this is the question she's asking. So at this point, just go get dolled up, put your eyelashes on, look, oh yeah, they look pretty. Get your hair done, put on a suit and everything, and we'll have your questions and your teleprompter just waiting for you to look stupid. So it looks like Iran's going to get paid big time, right?
Hold on. Why is the U.S. helping to fund a country that it's currently at war with, Mr. Secretary?
Again, Kristen, why don't we have good facts here? That Iranian oil was always going to be sold to the Chinese. It was going to be sold at a discount. So which is better, Kristen? Which is better? If oil prices spiked to $150 and they were getting 70% of that, or oil prices below 100, it's better to have them where they are now. And to be clear, we had always planned for this contingency. About 140 million barrels are out on the water. In essence, we are jujitsuing the Iranians. We're using their own oil against them. We have a much better line of sight, to be clear, at Treasury when this oil goes to, if it goes to Indonesia, if it goes to Japan, if it goes to Korea, we have a much better line of sight and are able to block accounts that the oil goes into. When it goes into China, it completely gets recycled. So to be clear, that 14 billion number is grossly overstated.
Let me unpack what you're just saying. First of all, how much is it? And second of all, I don't hear you disputing that Iran will get some of the money.
Iran already gets a huge amount of the money because Iran is the largest sponsor of state terrorism, and China has been funding them.
So it was always part of the plan to unsanction Iranian oil?
Again, we unsanctioned the Russia. At Treasury, we plan for all contingencies. We have break the glass plans, and to be able, this oil is floating out in Asia, and it is mostly our Asian allies. The U.S. gets virtually no oil from the Gulf. We are energy sufficient. So when we unsanction this, rather than the oil going to China, it can go to Japan, it can go to Korea, it can go to Indonesia, it can go to
She doesn't get it. And whoever wrote up the question doesn't get it. In essence, what he's saying is we control it. We're going to decide where it goes. And if it goes into the wrong hands, we're going to seize the money. And she's not understanding it. It's way over her head. He's trying to tell her, we are in control of it. Wake up, sweetie.
It could go to Iran, too. I mean, isn't the point that the sanctions were in place to prevent Iran from getting any of the money? They will have access to some of the money now.
Again, Kristen, you're missing the point. So please listen to me.
Okay. How bad is it? You're on a news show, and he's like, idiot. Listen, I will tell you once again. You don't get it. It's way above your pay grade. Let me break it down for you. All right?
They were getting it from China anyway.
All right, let me talk about the real world impact of this, because you're talking about 140 million barrels of Iranian oil, and that's just a little bit more than what the world uses in one day. How much can that really change prices here
again,
at home?
Chris, terrible framing. Terrible framing.
Well, how much can it change prices here at home? Talk to consumers. How much will it change prices here at home?
Let me explain. 140 million barrels, about 20 million barrels a day comes out of the Gulf. About 5 million has been repurposed by the Saudis, by the UAE. So we're at a 15 deficit. About 1.5 is Iranian oil that comes out. So we are at between a 10 and 14 million deficit on a daily basis. So if you think about 140 million barrels, that's between 10 days and 2 weeks of supply. And one of the reasons that prices in the U.S. of West Texas crude are below $100, and we have not seen this massive spike as we did during the beginning of Russia-Ukraine, is because we are well supplied in the market. Whether it is the Russian oil, whether it is the Iranian oil, or it is the largest SPR release in history done by a coalition of 32 countries, 400 million barrels.
All right, let's talk about the Russian oil, which you just raised. The administration.
Move on. You're getting your ass handed to you. You're not able to discuss with him, and so you got all these papers on your desk with all the questions they want you to ask him, and then you keep getting it wrong. You're not understanding. We're the boss now. That's the part she's not getting. We're the boss. And when we get the other people in there to help guard the Strait of Hormuz, what do you think is going to happen? It's pretty simple.
Did ease oil sanctions on Russia earlier this month. You had initially defended imposing those sanctions, calling Russian exports, quote, oil that funds the Russian war machine. If the point of the sanctions was to stop funding the Russian war machine, why is the administration effectively rewarding Russia now?
Again, Kristen, you're missing the point. Which is better? Does Russia get more money if oil goes to 150? And they get 70% of that, that's 105, or if oil stays below 100. So they're getting less money. Our analysis shows that the maximum extra amount that Russia could get would be $2 billion, which is 1 day of the Russian Federation's budget.
But understood, but they wouldn't have gotten any of that with the sanctions in place.
I don't know.
Would they have gotten any of that in place?
Whoever does your research, you should get rid of, because they were getting it. It was going into.
I had to go with the double slap. Whoever does your research, get rid of them, fire them. They're stupid. They're making you look stupid. Oh my gosh. This Trump administration takes no prisoners. Just us. Man.
China was buying over 90% of the Russian oil, and it was.
But what's the point of sanctions if not to punish Russia, if not to punish countries?
Again, we have no ability to do that to China. If China wants to be a bad actor. But we were substantially able to degrade their exports. Their exports have dropped about 25% when the rest of the world isn't buying it. So exports are down, but there was a lifeline into China. Now we've opened up that to everyone else.
Okay, just to be clear, though, you did defend imposing those.
Just to be clear, some time ago you said this instead of that. I rest my case. These people got nothing. They got nothing all the way up the chain. Nothing in the news, nothing with the politics. They got nothing.
Sanctions in the first place. Let me ask
just to be clear, it is a maximum of $2 billion. So let's have good framing on this.
Okay, let's talk about the over.
I don't think I've seen these many clapbacks against someone in the media directly to their face in a long time. Get your facts straight. Whoever's doing your stuff, you gotta know what the hell you're talking about if you're talking to me. Maybe you want to, talk to Swalwell or Hakeem Jeffries. You can get away with this stuff. It ain't happening here, honey. Wow.
All cost of this war. The administration's asking Congress poised to an additional $200 billion in additional funding for this war. Some Republicans who could cast key votes on this are expressing hesitation or outright opposition. Take a listen to them, and then I want to get your reaction on the other side.
Are there any initial red flags for you?
No, maybe it's a lot of money. I'll go through it, see what they need.
I am a no. I've already told leadership I am a no on any war supplementals. I am so tired of spending money elsewhere.
Should President Trump have gone to Congress on the front end of this war if he was going to ask for Congress's help now for more funding?
Again, President Trump was within his authorities, under the War Powers Act, to initiate this action. And we actually now we have plenty of money to fund this war. What we are doing is this is supplemental. President Trump has built up the military as he did in his first term, as he is now doing in his second term, and he wants to make sure that the military is well supplied going forward.
Would the administration ever raise taxes in order to fund this war?
Again, Kristen, the terrible framing. I think that.
It's just it's a simple question that I think a lot of people have.
It's a ridiculous question.
How many times? I'm all out of slaps. It's ridiculous. You're not even framing the question right. Oh my gosh. I've never seen someone in the media get slapped down this many times in the course of like a 10, 12-minute interview. My goodness.
Well, what can you answer it?
Why would we do that? That we have plenty. We have $1 trillion in this year's budget for the military, and President Trump, even before the conflict started, had said that he would like to further build out the military.
So just is raising taxes under consideration at all? If you're saying you have plenty of money.
Not at all.
Okay, now you got your answer. No, we're not raising taxes. We got tariffs, and we're going to figure a way around that. We got other countries putting massive investment here. These people hate America. Why can't we understand that as a people at this point and go, yeah, they're never going to win November, but no, we keep being told we're going to lose.
Okay, let's turn to how all of this is impacting consumers. United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby is now planning, he says, to cut flights and is planning for oil to go as high as $175 a barrel, with prices potentially staying above $100 a barrel through 2027. This is according to him. All of this could potentially mean higher prices for consumers. What do you say to Americans who feel they were promised lower costs and now they're getting the opposite?
Kristen, I think the American people understand that in any 50, I'm not going to put a time on it, but let's just pick 50 days of temporary elevated prices. Prices will come off on the other side for 50 years of not having an Iranian regime with a nuclear weapon. The American people, are beginning to understand, thanks to President Trump, that there is no prosperity without security.
I heard you say 50 days. Are you saying that prices could start to come down?
No.
What's the time frame?
I was just picking a point. I don't know whether it's going to be 30 days. I don't know whether it's going to be 50 days. I don't know whether it's going to be 100 days. But to have 50 years of peace in the Middle East and know that the Iranian regime is defanged, because, Kristen, what we had before was the illusion of security. Imagine this regime, if they'd had another year or 2 years to build out their missile capabilities, they would have built a shield around themselves, and it would have been impossible to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon.
All right. I want to ask you on a different topic about a post by President Trump from yesterday responding to the death of former special counsel Robert Mueller.
Seriously? You're asking the Secretary of the Treasury what he thinks about President Trump taking a strong stance against Robert Mueller. And I'm just going to tell you in advance, what Scott Bessent says here is what we talked about last night. What you people tried to do to President Trump, what Robert Mueller and his whole gang were doing to President Trump, I think he was being light. I think what he said was restrained, because every single one of us knows if somebody was doing that to me and my family and my friends and my businesses and trying to do stuff with my properties, what the heck would you say to go? Tell her, Scott.
He posted this quote, "Robert Mueller just died. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people." Do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to celebrate the death of an American citizen, someone who's a Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient and who served in Vietnam?
Kristen, I was with the President in the green room at Davos, and there was a video playing of what may have been an illegal raid on his home at Mar-a-Lago. They are going through his wife's wardrobe, and I watched the look in his eye, and I think that neither one of us can understand what has been done to the president and to his family.
That one statement that he said, that I said yesterday, and I continue to try to remind you, when everything that happened at Mar-a-Lago, you guys watched the Melania movie with me, how it traumatized Barron to the point where Barron is so concerned about safety and what's going to happen. We'll almost watch his dad get killed on national television on July 13th. Watching another guy snake up against a golf course and want to take a shot at him. And those are the ones we know of. Those are just the assassinations that have been made public. And then you saw them go from state to state in indictment and indictment, doing everything they possibly could to take him down. They got the E. Jean Carroll insanity where they tried to get $85 million because she said he had, the dirty deed with her in some dressing room that she can't even remember. On top of the two impeachments, on top of Letitia James saying his property is only worth $18 million, then you go back to everything that Robert Mueller did, and I think he has not one F left to give. I think that's what we're seeing in his post. And so if you haven't walked in this man's shoes and all those things that I just quickly mentioned, and remember that, and now you see the reaction he is actually having. And Scott says, I was sitting with him, I saw the look on his face. None of us have seen that look. These sons of bitches, look what they did. And you think, anybody who thinks this man is not ready to strike back like a cobra, not just to win an election, but to obliterate these people. I mean, to just do anything possible to make these people understand what they're responsible for doing, and you're going to have to somehow pay for what you did. I think it's all coming. I think it has to come. Just because it hasn't doesn't mean people should be trying to run away from him. They should be realizing he remembers all this. He just told you. I was sitting in a meeting with him, and I saw the look on his face. I was like, damn.
But to the question of the president's post, I mean, Robert Mueller didn't order that raid. Is it appropriate for the president to celebrate the death of any American citizen,
again,
Mr. Secretary?
I think that given what has been done to President Trump and his family, it is impossible for either of us to understand what he has been through.
So you don't think that there's anything wrong with the...
You're asking the same question 4 times. I just answered you. You effed with the wrong guy. How can I make it clearer, Kristen? You're going to get the horns now. You think it's appropriate? I think he was light. I think he could have said much worse. You guys don't get it in the media. You Democrats don't get it. This man is pissed. I don't think enough people who are MAGA understand. Scott now understands. I saw his face. See, we haven't seen that. We're like, what do he look like, Scott? He look like he's ready to raise some hell. He looks like he's ready to just take these people's faces off. So, ergo, if he's willing to take on the Democrat Party this way, what do you think he's going to do to the Ayatollahs that tried to kill him? Which never gets reported on anymore, that they were trying to assassinate him. See, a lot of people forget that part. Right now, if you didn't know, you're like, I didn't know the Iranians were trying to kill him. Uh-huh. The Iranians, they arrested one, and I guess he's going through a trial, but the Iranians put, all kinds of things on him that they were going to kill him. If you have never seen the movie The Godfather, and if you have, maybe you remember at the very end, when Sonny goes to Connie's baptismal of her new baby. And when they go, while they're in the church, while he's doing the baptism, putting it on the baby's head, while they're doing that, he's killing all the enemies. He's whacking the heads of the 5 families, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Today, we settle all family businesses. So don't tell me you don't know who it was, is what he said to Carlos. Yes, I've watched that movie way too many times. Don't tell me you don't know what's going on. And I'm slowly watching this man from New York, and it looks a lot like he is basically ready to whack the heads of the 5 families. Metaphorically speaking. He's not taking anybody out, except for the Ayatollahs.
Again, I think that we should all have a little empathy for what has been done to him and his family.
All right, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
You idiot. You complete idiot. Have we forgotten empathy as much as we've forgotten laughter? I mean, if I can go through without any script, without anything on a teleprompter, if I can go through it just by pure memory of all the things that have happened to him, and I probably forgot a couple. If I can go through it, imagine what he thinks. Imagine what goes through his mind. Imagine what goes through Melania's mind, his sons, as they recount everything you guys have done to me, and yet people think he's not going to get even. You're insane. You're absolutely insane. SB's got some breaking news. What do you got, SB? Hello.
Oh, yeah. I'm here. Let's see what we have here. It looks like tomorrow it's official. ICE will be deploying to at least 14 major airports around the U.S. starting tomorrow morning for Reuters. Atlanta's mayor has also confirmed this, stating that ICE will be on the ground first thing in the morning. It's go time.
Wow. Already? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Now it's been confirmed that 8 o'clock at night on Sunday. They're rolling it out tomorrow. What else you got? I thought I saw something else that had come out as well. Did you text me?
I think that was the major thing. Yeah, that was about it.
All right. What did I see that I wanted to tell you about? Where is it? This one here. I'm looking at Eric Doherty. There's something that says 30 minutes ago, Cuba. It's official. Cuba's communist, Cuba's communist regime just went full panic mode, frantically preparing for military aggression incoming by the United States. Marco Rubio has been relentlessly dealing with Cuba behind the scenes. Anything could happen. Make a deal, Cuba. Trump does not screw around. Now, remember, you saw everybody fly down here. Marco Rubio's here with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, 90 miles away from Cuba right now. So he's probably been working that angle the entire time. So there's Wow. I can't even imagine what's getting ready to blow in the next couple of days. A lot. Thanks, SV. Let me wrap everything up. All right, everybody. I do have one more thing, and this one more thing I want to talk to you about is the Panicans and the Black Pillars and how their influence is basically going away.
If you spend too much time on Twitter or get your news from the liberal mainstream media, you may have gotten the impression that the president's supporters are abandoning him in droves over Operation Epic Fury, his war to prevent your grandchildren from having to face off against a nuclear-armed Iran. Our hapless president has been dragged into this war against his will by the nefarious Bibi Netanyahu, according to people like Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Megyn Kelly, and now Joe Kent, a counterterrorism official who resigned this week amid an FBI investigation into his penchant for leaking government secrets to Carlson. Trump has betrayed everything he once stood for, they say, and all the young people know it. In light of their opposition to Trump, the mainstream media has been only too happy to amplify these characters.
The younger generations, I'm Gen X, millennials and Gen Z are very much against this war. And so when you talk to people on the ground, that's how it comes across. It's very generational, and the younger generations are completely against it.
Yeah, she's full of crap. She's completely full of crap, just like the rest of them. I don't talk about them much, but it's gotten to the point now where they're just openly lying. In fact, if she's on CNN, she'll tell you everything. It's crazy.
100% a betrayal to what MAGA was supposed to be.
Alas, none of that is true. The narrative that MAGA is split over Iran, beloved by the liberal media and the anti-Israel far left and right, is complete fiction. Far from a betrayal, poll after poll after poll has found massive, overwhelming support for the president's strikes on Iran.
I don't, the one that CNN put out, as you can see, 100%. No, I don't believe it's 100%. But every single poll in reference to everything that President Trump is doing, including the Save America Act, are off the charts. They don't even have any polls that are even close. Everything's 80, 90, 95, 100. They're not even close. So how can we possibly be in a position where we're going to lose the midterms? I don't even want to discuss the midterms. The midterms are 8 months away. We don't know what's going to happen 8 hours from now. I've said that so many times. You cannot foretell the future when you can't even foretell it what's going to be in the next day. None of this that we're seeing happen right now and play out on a daily basis did people know about even a week ago. Yeah, the war they did, but that was on February 28th. So how can you possibly do any sort of game planning when this man is running a different playbook than any president ever? Not compared to one. Nobody has done what he's doing.
Among Republican voters, upwards of 85%. An NBC poll of voters who backed Trump in 2024 found 90% support for the war in Iran and a 100% approval rating for the president. A new poll even asked point blank who Republicans trusted more, Kelly and Carlson or the president. The results were pretty decisive: 84% for Trump, 6% for Carlson.
6% of Republicans, or MAGA, trust Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly more. Please, if you trust Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly more than the president, please, by all means, put that in your bio. Let us all know the idiots that you are. I respect your opinion. I just don't want to have to listen to it.
Womp womp. That's what we learned about America this week. The would-be emperors and kingmakers of the far right have no clothes. The war in Iran hasn't just taken out Iran's ballistic capabilities, it's nuked the fiction that these media personalities on the right wield any power. The podcasters, content creators, and YouTubers and Twitter personalities who claim to represent MAGA actually do nothing of the sort.
Now, I want to tell you, I am not here to say, nor will I ever say, I represent MAGA. The fact that they say that is enough to just turn the channel. You don't represent me. I'm just telling you what's going on. I give you my opinion, but the hell if I represent what MAGA is, I don't think that much of myself. These people are so full of themselves that they think they represent MAGA. And all they've done is destroy what they previously had built up. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but go look at like Megyn Kelly's numbers and you'll see she has lost 75% or so of her normal viewership. So it would take a lot of money to put my viewership on the line. It must have taken a crap load of money for her to put her viewership on the line. I don't need to sell my soul that bad. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy working with SV and Roaring Rage and Beth and Severo. I love working with Ashley on this. I love having the Fanfare family. We've built a nice community here. Why would I ever turn my back on that? It's insane.
They are influencers with no influence, not on the president nor on his followers. The podcast wars, as they've been called, have always been more a media turf war than an ideological one. Many seem to have decided that the way to try to grow their audience is to go down the same road as Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, podcasters with big audiences whose antipathy extends beyond Israel to all Jews. But unlike on the left, our compatriots on the right have absolutely refused to buy in. Support for Israel is rising among Republicans. Even people who get their news from podcasters overwhelmingly back the president in Iran.
True. You've seen the numbers. She's not making it up. So why would people go against what appears to be a train moving fast ahead? Why would people be out there just talking crap about Trump? I don't know. Everybody on this planet is open to their own opinions. But the problem I have is so many of them sucked in so many people by pretending, obviously, to be for Trump and then completely turn their back and trash him after you spent the time bringing people into your community. Everybody talks about what they're doing to Trump. Nobody talks about what they've done to their communities. How much do you care about the people who spend their time watching and listening to you for you to turn around and basically give them the middle finger? That's insane. Absolutely insane. There must be some big pots of gold at the end of that rainbow.
It turns out people who make money off of online engagement are not the best arbiters of where the American people are at. Sure, they get millions of views online, but the internet is available globally, and our enemies are only all too eager to try to undermine us by aggressively engaging with anti-American content.
So one of the things when people talk about numbers, and there are certain people out there that love trolls because trolls give engagement. And I always told the moderators here, and which is why they've been here for so long, is I don't want just raw engagement. I don't want people just coming in saying whatever they want. I want to foster a community. It's always been my position when I started. Build a community. And maybe it's because when I worked in the advertising world, I understood back then, build a community. You can't fake a community. You have to be authentic. Build your community. And in doing that, I always knew your community comes first. So you guys may not realize that. Some of you guys may think, I'm Trump first. No, I'm Trump second. My community comes first. And so by doing that, you make sure you get rid of trolls. You don't want people, it's like inviting people to your house and then seeing somebody pissing on somebody's car. You don't want them. Go away. Get out. And so you have to protect your community at all costs. The other thing that these people do, and you can't see somebody else's, but I've had so many of these people ask me, Barry, where do you get these sponsors? How do you get so many partners? Is because when you have to do a media kit and you show people, here's the demographics of my audience and here's the psychographics of my audience, I can clearly say 99.5% American. And I can put the male, female. I can also say, you know, what age group and everything else. When you're talking about the Jews all the time, you're inviting a lot of people to join in that hate who aren't even from America. So sometimes numbers can be deceiving because not all audiences are the same. In fact, that's why I don't like to talk about audiences. I like to refer to it as communities. Because we protect people that come in here, because every time somebody comes new, you see in the chat sometimes like, wow, this chat's pretty cool. You guys are all talking to me. You're engaging with me. So even if I don't get onto it, people are all talking to each other. They become a community. As I called it, the Fanfare family. But if we had a whole bunch of people from Pakistan and Uzbekistan and something stan, then it wouldn't look, it would look weird. These people don't care.
You can learn a lot more about what's really happening in America by going to church or sitting in a bar and talking to your neighbors for half an hour than you can on Twitter. Here to discuss is Ben Shapiro, the undisputed victor of the podcast wars, co-founder of the Daily Wire and host of the Ben Shapiro Show. Ben, thank you so much.
I don't know if I'd say that. I don't know if I'd say the whatever she just said, because sometimes he says some crazy stuff too. So I'm done with that. But I'm just saying, you know, I welcome you here, and I thank you guys for continuing to show up, and it means a lot to us. Now I want to just be, you know what? Let me do super chats first here, because I want to do something special at the end and go right into it, into that and to the, what do you call it? The after party. But I want to, let's see here. Let me do this first, and then we'll go.